Imagine a faith surviving without a single church, without a single priest, for 250 years. In 1614, the rulers of Japan decided to completely erase Christianity from their islands. They nearly succeeded, but in the remote fishing villages of Nagasaki, a secret was buried, and it stayed buried for 10 generations. When Catholic missionaries first arrived in Japan in the 1500s, the faith exploded. Hundreds of thousands were baptized. But the political winds shifted. The shogunate saw this foreign religion as a threat to their absolute control, and so they decreed that Christianity was illegal. Priests were tortured, deported, or executed. Believers were rounded up and given a simple choice: renounce your God or die. Many died. The Japanese government was ruthless and thorough. So, by the middle of the 1600s, to the outside world, the church in Japan was completely gone. No buildings, no Bibles, no leadership. But a few thousand villagers made a different choice. They didn't die, and they didn't walk away. They simply disappeared. They became the Kakure Karishitan, otherwise called the Hidden Christians. For 2.5 centuries, their survival depended on absolute silence. If a neighbor suspected you, your entire family could be executed. To root them out, government officials would visit villages once a year. They placed a bronze image of Jesus or the Virgin Mary on the ground and forced every man, woman, and child to step on it. To refuse meant death. So, the hidden Christians stepped on the images. They publicly denied their faith to stay alive. But when the officials left, they returned to their homes, knelt in the dark, and begged God for forgiveness. They had no priests to hear their confessions. They had no one to celebrate Mass. Parents secretly baptized their own children behind closed doors. They disguised statues of Mary to look like Buddhist figures. They whispered Latin prayers they no longer fully understood, passing them down by memory from father to son, mother to daughter. Entire lifetimes began and ended in this silence. Great-grandparents died waiting for the priests to return. 10 generations lived in the shadows, holding on to a promise they couldn't even say out loud. Then, the world changed. In the 1850s, Japan's borders were forced open. Foreigners were finally allowed back in. In 1865, a French priest named Father Bernard Petitjean built a small Catholic church in Nagasaki, strictly for foreign residents. Christianity was still strictly illegal for Japanese citizens. One afternoon, Father Petitjean was standing inside the church when he noticed a small group of Japanese villagers standing at the doors. They looked terrified. They stepped inside, cautiously looking at the altar, the cross, the statues. A woman from the group walked up to the priest. She made sure no authorities were watching. She looked at the statue of Mary. Then she looked at the priest, and she whispered, "Where is the statue of Santa Maria?" The priest froze. He didn't fully understand. The woman leaned in closer and spoke again. "We have the same heart as you." The priest realized what was happening. He was not looking at new converts. He was looking at the descendants of a church that had been cut off from the rest of the world for 2.5 centuries. The world thought the church in Japan had been eradicated. They were wrong. It had just been waiting. And in that small wooden church, after 250 years of whispers, the silence was finally broken.